Ayo, this is AJ with Just Keep Moving TCG here. We've got our second round of locals that happened this past Tuesday. As you can tell, it was at Sully's abode, so shout out Sully's for hosting. I'm on the left playing Suisei, and my opponent on the right is playing the Promise deck. See, my opponent is checking out my hand, or excuse me, not in my hand, my Oshi. I end up putting the debut ASCII that can ramp you one onto the stage, and I go to grab two more debuts with my normal PCs. I ended up keeping this hand because the normal PCs and just the normal PCs let me set up, so I get to see all of my holo mems. These are all of them, and I'm not playing Iroha in the deck. I know people like to sit behind the Iroha while she's like in the center position, so that the Suisei that ends up collabing is safe for the most part. But the Suisei deck does take up a lot of energy because the second Suisei, whenever she attacks, you do end up trashing 2 cheers. So I collab with the ASCII, and I hit on my die roll, ramp another one to my Suisei in the back. So we are looking good on energy, and I can actually bloom this Muna into the first, which will also get me another cheer. My opponent starts their turn, attaching the cheer to their center Mume, and they are also going to play 2 normal PCs. So this is tough. I don't see a Crony come down, but they do have the Iris. The Iris will allow them to deal extra damage, but they'll collab with the Mume, which allows them to draw a card if their Oshi is #promise. So my opponent is sitting on a ton of cards right now. Finds the third normal PC, grabs another Iris, so they're set up looking even better than mine. They've got everything they need. 2 Mumes, 3 Mumes. Oh, and the gang's all here. So we see the Crony come down, and then they mark me for 20 damage on my center Suisei. Figuring out where I want to put this energy. And the Suisei deck, it does take a little bit of pre-planning. I'm trying to figure out, can I bloom into the collab first to try to KO something on the bench? Can I mark some damage with the first that'll bloom and mark another 20 damage? So here comes that collab Suisei. I was trying to figure out whether or not I could maybe collab with it and then maybe go for the KO that way. But I think I decided against it. Once again, most of us are still new to the game. We're trying to figure out our lines and stuff. I do bloom into the first Suisei, mark some 20 damage onto the Crony. If I was thinking if I could knock out the Crony, that's the one member that only has 1 copy on the stage. If I could try to knock out the Crony, he's going to be out some acceleration. He's not going to be getting 2 necessarily every time he blooms. So I go ahead, play the Notica, draw 3, and I have bloomed my Muna. So my Muna did ramp us another cheer. So I'm getting a bunch of cheer out into play, which is good. Plays another Muna with the expectation that it might just get KO'd. Gonna swing into the collab Mume because it only has 60 HP, and they were definitely thinking about trying to protect their Mume, but they don't have enough holo power to use the Oshi skill. Draw for turn. My opponent is on Pokemon Energy. That is pretty funny. So they go ahead, collab with the Iris, bloom with the Iris. Iris is gonna allow the center and collab to deal 30 extra damage, which is just so much. That's 60 extra damage. I'm gonna play Promise, allowing them to draw any Promise members that they do find. Ancestrals, which is great for them. Their grip is freaking huge. Like, they literally have most everything except for, I think they're missing the first Mume, the one that tutors. It is tough though. We do see the big first Mume, because I call it the big first Mume because this one has extra HP. And it's gonna make my numbers tight. It's not gonna matter too much if I have my second stage Suisei, but the opener had great setup, but not exactly the card I'm looking for. My opponent here, thinking about it. Trying to do the math here. I think they're trying to decide who to KO. Take a bunch of damage on the Suisei. No, they down the Suisei. It's like a bunch of damage on the Muna. Dang, 100 damage is crazy. And they still had enough to knock out Suisei. Oh, jeez. So I don't end up drawing my second Suisei. Not that my cheers were conducive to. Oh, but I did have the first Muna to try to ramp another one. Dang, that's tough. Just proving to my opponent that everything I have is blue cheers. Oh, and then I forgot to attach for turn, or at the start of turn. Notica praying that I draw a second, and I don't. Oh, and the limited PC finds the Suisei, and I end up having to put Suisei on the bottom. So I grab the Mane-chan. When I go to at least play the Mane-chan, I'll shuffle the deck, and maybe the Suisei will get pushed to the top on the shuffle. Here I go again, collabing with the Suisei. I will trash a cheer in order to draw two. And I'm just digging at this point, but man, I'm like holding a bunch of limited cards. I've already used a limited card. Oh man, this is tough. We did find another first Muna. And I'm just going to try to stick some damage onto the Mume. He uses his SP... No, not his SP Oshi skill. He just uses his Oshi skill. Reduces the damage by 50. We know he's got the second Mume in hand. But he won't be collabing with it. Yeah, his start was really good, but I feel like his following turns weren't actually too crazy. He swung for so much damage because he used two first irises, so that's like two less irises that I have to worry about. So he's only got like one more really explosive turn. Let's see. Alright. Blooms into the crony. Ramps a Dawn onto the first iris. Probably just setting up another attacker. And he's just kind of trying to stick as much damage as he can. Because he'll collab with this iris. Generate a hollow power. There's no extra damage, or no, there is extra damage being done. The second Mume allows both the center and collab to deal extra damage equal to however many hollow members you have. Which is crazy. This deck does so much damage. Like, their base numbers, really bad. But if you can like, you know, fully set up, have the stage full, and everything, like, you're dealing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 120 extra damage between two attacks. Like, come on, man. That's like a third attack in itself. Does the numbers, and I'm counting, making sure that everything adds up, which it does. So my Suisei gets knocked out. And now I'm in an awful spot. None of my Suisei are like ready to bloom into a second Suisei and cause some real damage. So I draw a first Suisei so I can stick some damage on something, but at this point, like, my tempo is so bad. Promote the first Muna, full expectation that it's just gonna get KO'd. Attach a cheer in the back. Yeah. Bloom into the first, stick 20 damage somewhere. Thinking, just trying to soften up this Iris. And then I'll deal an extra 50 damage. So trying to set up a big KO on 2 seconds here. But it's not looking too hot for me. I'm gonna bloom into the first Muna, attach a cheer to the one in the center. Trying to decide if I want to reset my hand or if I just want to dig deeper. I don't know if this is necessarily the right play, because we saw 1 second Suisei go to the bottom. So if I were to do Mane-chan shuffle the deck, I think my chances might have been higher. So we play the Idle Mic. Idle Mic does not hit, and I'm thinking on whether or not I want to collab, but I'm like super confident he's actually just going to be able to take a double KO, so it's not worth it for me. Just going to keep spreading the damage around. I actually wanted to play... I was thinking about playing Azuki or Kanata for this locals, but I ended up handing people some cards to help finish their deck, or I handed out full decks so people can participate in the locals. So ultimately I ended up on Suisei. I handed out my Promise deck for someone to borrow. I handed out my second Askies for someone to borrow. I handed out a Polka deck for somebody to borrow. So yeah, that's how I ended up on Suisei. And I didn't want to play Kanata. I could have played Kanata, but she'll be good for a while. And I'm just like, I don't really want to play the really good decks right now. I'll have plenty of time later to do that. He sees his first Mume, which when he blooms, he'll be able to grab any first or debut Promise member. Grabs the first crony, blooms into the first crony, who's going to be able to ramp another cheer. He's actually going to stick it on the crony that did bloom. Collab with it as well. That crony's doing a lot. Getting busy this turn. And we're going to bloom into 2 second irises. Hey, this dude's board is full. He's like ready to go. I'll attach a Don onto, or I'll attach a cheer onto the Suisei in the back. And I managed to top deck the second Suisei. Lucky guy. Lucky guy. Yep. I think I'm looking at my debuts, thinking if I want to put them down or not to try to thin my hand. But I'm just gonna go for the Idle Mic. Find 2 Suiseis. Alright, this Suisei in the center will now finally be able to bloom. I'll collab with the second Suisei, which ramps herself an energy, which is sick. That's awesome. And now she'll swing for 60. And she'll deal an extra 60 damage for every hollow mem under her stack. So I can put 60 damage onto one of the centers, or center or collab. Oh, so I'm just trying to resolve this properly. So I'll put 60, 180. Yep, I'll do the full 180 to the Mume in the center. And then I'll use my SP Oshi skill. When my damage is placed, I can place extra damage onto somebody in the back. and I am just on my phone double checking the wording on the card. And now he's thinking whether or not he wants to use his SP Oshi skill to reduce the damage that's coming into the iris, because I think I targeted the iris. Yeah, missing my second Suisei on curve was really tough. I think that's why the Suisei deck, and a lot of decks in general right now, are not like super good. They lack a lot of consistency. But as sets come out, Suisei is just going to keep getting better and better. She's going to end up using Chloe, which I think has higher stats than the Muna next set. In the third set, I'm not sure if she gets anything specifically in the third set, but in the fourth set, she should get... she should get a new first that looks at the top 3. I'm pretty sure it's in set 4. If she gets it in set 3, that's even better. Makes the deck like super consistent, because then you have 2 really good firsts to bloom into. The Suisei deck, honestly, if you've played any of the Pokemon TCG, feels like the Dragon Ball deck, where you're just trying to spread damage, and you have cards in the evolution line that let you draw additional cards, which is cool. Love that. Favorite thing to do in card games is definitely to win. However, drawing sometimes takes priority even over that. He promotes the iris that he managed to protect and that I stuck a lot of damage on but couldn't down. And I think he's just doing the math, because the Mume that he has up can't attack, but... or it might be able to attack. I just can't tell if it's got all the energy it needs on it. It's tough in games like this where there's no ability to respond. You're just kind of sitting there watching your opponent do all of their combo lines or try to play optimally, and there's nothing you can really do. You see the collab Mume come up, so he'll be able to draw an additional card. And he'll go for the KO on the debut Suisei. And I'm just confirming how much damage is being done. Or, oh, it's not debut Suisei, it's first Suisei. I'll take my turn. I do draw into the second Suisei, but I don't have a first already established on board. So it's kind of a moot point. And I go for the concession there. Yeah, missing the second Suisei on curve was really, really tough there. And the Promise deck, super consistent. Draw plenty of cards, and you can, you know, search your deck for exactly what you're looking for sometimes. But yeah, that is the end of round 2. Suisei versus Promise. If you guys enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe. Remember to be good to yourself, be yourself, and just keep moving.